I have always said that Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza and elsewhere in the region has truly taken off the veneer of the Western claims of being a civilized world. Likewise, the mass murder of Palestinians and Lebanese has also exposed many celebrities who we once adored for their sporting heroics. One such name is Russia's Garry Kasparov, who enjoyed global adulation and fame for what he achieved in the field of chess. But the man has turned out to be another disgrace. All through the Gaza tragedy, the man has spewed venom against innocent Palestinians as he blindly sided with bloodthirsty terrorist Benjamin Netanyahu. In the immediate aftermath of Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza, when the visuals of Israeli targeting hospitals and slaughtering women, children, and babies were being live streamed globally, this Kasparov had a problem in the pro-Zionist Western media reporting the murder of Palestinians by Israelis. Yes, he had a problem. And we thought this was just an isolated outburst. As Israelis continued to kill more and more Palestinians for fun, Kasparov's support for this mass murder gained momentum. This shameless creature crossed every limit of decency after the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant against Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant. In a series of tweets, Kasparov wrote, and I quote, "This disgraceful ICC decision is the last nail in the coffin of the international order based on Yalta Potsdam arrangements. Politicizing and criminalizing self-defense against terrorism also discredits previous judgments against real war criminals like Putin." End of quote. This disgusting human being still feels that Israel killing more than 200,000 innocent men, women, children, and babies who it has occupied for generations has been an act of defense. And the same supporter of genocide would want your support against Russia's so-called brutalities, mind you, so-called brutalities against Putin's political opponents. And he doesn't stop here. He then goes on to write, and I quote, "I'm no Netanyahu supporter, but like any sovereign nation, Israel has the right to defend itself from existential threats. The ICC, like the UN, would like Israel to just disappear, which is exactly what would happen if it stopped fighting for its survival." End of quote. Once again, he thinks the world is fool to buy his nonsense, that an occupier has a right to defend itself against the same people who it has occupied or brutalized for decades. Now, in his next tweet, Kasparov writes, and I quote, "Many replies fall into the same accusation of Israeli genocide in Gaza, which would count as the most poorly executed in history. Were it true, Israel could flatten the entire region in a week. Meanwhile, Hamas still refuses to release the hostages." End of quote. What he says is that Israel could have flattened Gaza, but it has not. Maybe he's been watching visuals from Ukraine that he mistook them as those from Gaza. And that is the reason perhaps why he still thinks that Gaza is not completely flattened. I'm not going to quote all his nonsense here, but he had a go at the UN and its bodies in his last tweet, as he wrote, and I quote, "The ICC is following the path of the UN, which has been co-opted into a platform for dictators. The world's most brutal regimes invest massively in exploiting these institutions as part of their war on the free world. They find dupes and eager allies among Western extremists." End of quote. I replied to him on Twitter as I reminded people how this once globally renowned chess player has reduced himself to a mentally deranged, morally depraved, and intellectually corrupt racist Islamophobe. What amazed me was the fact that this disgraceful human being had chosen to post these tweets even after Netanyahu flattened Gaza and slaughtered more than 200,000 Palestinians for fun. This requires some audacity and a completely different level of shamelessness and racism combined. So next time when he posts his rants against Russia or in support of Ukrainians, you know that he is not at all concerned about Ukrainians and is only using the conflict there to score a point against Putin. Or he's simply being a downright racist Islamophobe, for whom only the suffering of blue-eyed Europeans matters. Whichever way you look at his outbursts, he is only coming across as a disgraceful individual who may have won a lot as a player but has been an utter loser on the humanity front. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.